see me yet. I had a black screen in front of me. I do apologize. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for our preview. I messed my own intro up. Cheers, black screen. Anyway, I hope you're all well. Welcome to our preview and predicted 11 live stream out of Luton Town versus Chelsea in the fifth round. Is it the fifth round? Fourth round? Whatever it is. Of the FA Cup. Yeah. I can't lie. I'll be totally honest with you. After the cup final and you lose the cup final, really can't be bothered for another cup game. Because it's a cup game. If we win, no one gives a shit. And if we lose, everyone laughs at us. So that's why I don't like these kind of games, especially after a loss like that. But hey, there's a lot to get through, actually. There's a lot to get through. Everything, obviously, with everything going on in the world. I hope you're all well and safe, depending on where you are in the world. But yeah, like I say, a lot to get through. I do want to reflect on the cup final a little bit, especially as I haven't spoken to VJ and Jem about the cup final itself. Sorry, boys, to bring up bad memories, but I think it must be done. Can it be a chance of salvation for the likes of Mason Mount, potentially Kepa? Debate whether you include Pulisic into that conversation as well. What is wrong with VAR? I want to discuss that for a minute because it's a bit mad if you think about it. What's going on is a bit mad. And even though I don't really want to talk about it because then I've made a conscious decision not to talk about it too much so far on my channel. Thomas Tuchel snapped and lost his shit a little bit at journalists today. We're obviously not going to get into the details of politics and stuff. That's not what we're here to do. But I do want to talk about why he snapped and what I think about that. Obviously, if the boys don't want to give their opinion, that's totally fair. But I do think it's just there's just too much going on at the moment. There's just too much going on. And to top things off, we have apparently so many injuries / doubts that Thomas Tuchel wasn't even willing to name them all because the list is too long. So that's a bit mad. There's a lot to get through, like I said. VJ, your timing is absolutely impeccable. If people might not have been aware, VJ turned up here in this call 15 seconds before the timer ran out. Like, you couldn't have timed that any better, bro. So thank you for coming. How are you? Are you over the cup final defeat yet or still lingering?
Before I start, I just wanted to understand if my mic is fine. It was creating a bit of trouble. All good?
It's all good.
All right. Okay. On the cup finals, right? That was the question?
Yeah.
Disappointed definitely with the result. But in the context of the game, absolutely 120 minutes of brilliant thriller. 22 penalties to actually break the deadlock for the teams. Obviously, it showed that there is very less in terms of the quality between these both teams. We saw in the past as well, both of the Premier League games ended up in a draw. I respect Liverpool for the way that they fought, and Chelsea, kudos to them because let's try and be honest about it. They were in a better position coming into this game in terms of run of forms and all of that. We were struggling. We were trying to pick it up, and I think Chelsea boys did a lot better for that 120 minutes. Would have been better if they got a result in that 120 minutes. And I'm not going to blame Kepa or anyone for that, or Tuchel for making that substitution, because if it had worked, we would have been sitting here talking something completely different, keeping Kepa as a hero. So hindsight is always a beautiful thing. So these criticism, I don't really feel it has to be warranted for. But Mason Mount could have done a better job. And I also felt to an extent Romelu Lukaku looked better, not like super good or something, but then he looked better in the few minutes that he came in. So yeah, if he continues to do so, that would be great. I saw the way that Thomas Tuchel patted him on his back when he actually came in. That was a good sight as well, because they're getting along. And it's always good for the club if you look at it from that perspective. So lots of talking points, but to keep it simple, an absolute 120 minutes of thriller. But I'm sad that we did not get the result our way. But it's football. When we come to penalties, it's going to be a 50-50. So this time the 50 did not go our way.
It really didn't go away, unfortunately. Obviously, like I said, I do want to talk about the VAR stuff in a hot minute. One other thing that I've so far chosen not to speak about, I can't lie, a little bit I forgot after the final. But on the day, I chose not to speak about it too much because it's like, I thought if I make a whole stream about this, we'll get into areas of things where none of us are experts in, and then I don't want to looked like Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, and Michael Richards on TV, like a right muppet. So I decided against that. But Roman Abramovich has on, what was it, Saturday, given out a statement, along with Chelsea, obviously, that he was handing over stewardship and care of Chelsea Football Club to the Chelsea Foundation Trust, if I'm not miswording anything here. And the day-to-day business will be run by, well, initially it was said Marino Granovskaya, or the footballing day-to-day stuff at least. Marino Granovskaya, Petr Cech, well, that's it. Them two, sorry. And but now there's been some problems, which again, why I don't want to get too much into the detail about trying to figure out, can we actually give the foundation that thing like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it that easy? Some of the trustees were like, well, are we sure this works? Otherwise, we're going to dip. Do you know what I mean? So once things are more clear, I will definitely talk about it in more detail, but just to clear it up, that I'm not trying to avoid the topic. It's just there's so much uncertainty at the moment, and it's also a bit annoying, like the uncertainty. I personally, I mean, we'll get to the press conference in a little bit, but I think it also is kind of weighing a bit on Thomas Tuchel, judging by his reaction. Not just what's going on in the world, but the fact that he, no one knows what's going on. The players don't, the fans don't, the manager don't. I mean, maybe they do, I suppose, but we released this statement. I was up to thinking, well, the reason why we weren't informed about this earlier, but the day before, is because they had to sort out legal things. But then, the next day or yesterday comes out that we're actually not sure about all the legal things. So now I don't know what the situation is. Jim, sorry that I kind of interrupted the intro to all of you guys. Let's take it back to the cup final. You said off air just before we went live, it didn't take you that long to get over it. Is that because we played well and we're just a bit unlucky? Or why exactly is that? Or is it because it's a Carabao Cup and you're not that bothered?
I think with penalties, it's always a flick of a coin. So for me, knowing that we got to penalties, everyone takes a penalty, it lands to your goal and he misses. I can kind of take it on the chin. Goalies are not there to take penalties at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So the fact that it happened to Kepa, I don't really blame Tuchel for playing him, and I don't blame Kepa for missing it. At the end of the day, it happens. It's football. We have to take it on the chin. Part of the reason I'm not too annoyed was the overall performance. I do think the forward line let us down. Don't get me wrong, in the individual moments that would have won us that game. Let's get it right. If Mason Mount would have took his 2 chances, if Christian Pulisic would have maybe scored his at the beginning, I think we would have. I actually honestly think we would have cruised that game. I know Liverpool had their moments; they looked dangerous, but they always seem to just run out of ideas for me after a while. Like, if they don't knock the wall down and it's still there, it's like they don't know what their plan B is a lot of the time. And you could see that later in the game. I think going into the extra time section, we completely took over the game, and I don't think their substitutions helped them in any way by bringing Origi on and Jota. They couldn't hold the ball as well. The one that I thought was great, to be fair, from the Liverpool side of things, was Luis Diaz. I think he's a top player. I'm not going to lie, he's a very, very good player. And Chalobah, who's not kicked a ball, having to play up against someone like that, really had to be on it. But he got into the game, and look, the overall thing is that, yeah, I'm gutted we lost. At the end of the day, I don't want to talk about VAR yet because I know you're going to get into that. So I'll talk about it once you obviously bring it up as a topic. But in terms of the overall performance, I'm proud of what the boys did. I thought that defensively we were immense. I thought Rudiger and Thiago Silva especially were unreal. I know some people had mixed thoughts on Kante and Kovacic as a 2 in the middle. For me, I thought they'd done their job. I thought they'd done well. I thought Kante he looked like the N'Golo Kante in certain, I say in most parts of that game, in terms of, winning balls high up, energy, shutting the forwards, and he just, was getting around the pitch. And Kovacic was doing what he does as well, which was pretty good. So, look, we have to take it on the chin, man. We've won 2 trophies so far. It would have been nice to have had a third and beaten Liverpool. Something tells me, as much as I putting the trophy aside, I think it was more about beating each other rather than what the meaning of that trophy was. I don't think we actually both cared about the trophy too much. It was just about beating each other more than anything, and the fact that they beat us in penalties, let me get it right. They didn't beat us in 90 minutes again. They haven't beaten us in 90 minutes the whole season. Yeah, that's the 3rd game we played them. I'm proud of my boys. It just shows that we're, this Liverpool team's a good team, Laurenz. You look at that Liverpool team. They're like at their peak to a degree. When you look at the players that they currently have in their primes, and this is a Chelsea team that's been with Tuchel for a year and is already competing with that. Imagine what it's going to be like 2-3 years down the line, mate. It's all good signs for me. you know.
If we do invest properly, and by properly I don't mean big, but properly I mean in the right players, then 1 million %. And yeah, you make a good point. It is 3 games this season against Liverpool, and arguably we should have won all 3. I mean, I'm still very confident we would have won at Anfield had Reece James not gotten sent off, because at that moment in time of the season, we were so good at the back that, I mean, they couldn't even score when we had 10 men. I personally don't see a way in which they would have scored with 11. And obviously without the penalty, they don't win, or they don't get their 1 goal. And maybe if we are 11 men in second half, even if they get the pen, but it's not a red card, maybe we still get the 2-1, who knows. At the Bridge, yeah, it was 2 laps of concentration. We were 2-0 down, at least before it back to a 2-2-0. And in the final, I mean, it's weird because a lot of, like, in the player rating stream, myself, Clutch, Con, and Pice, we're very critical of, in particular, Mason Mount, also Christian Pulisic to some extent, and N'Golo Kante to some extent. Not so much myself, actually. Like, I'm often quite critical of Kante because I think people not overrate, but overstate and ignore the fact that his perfect position doesn't exist in our team. But even I thought he was, like, certainly nothing bad really to speak about. So I was a little bit surprised that people weren't that happy, for me, perfectly honest. Yeah, sure, we want more control, but I'm not even, like, I don't even criticize Kante and Cover for that, because I know if we go into a game with Cover and Kante, we won't be here with the ball possession. It's just not going to be that way. Unfortunately, I would prefer if we go into games like that and want to dominate, want to control the game, want to have the ball. But we chose against that, fair enough. But yeah, it's just gutting. I will say that I don't blame Tuchel for bringing Kepa on. I do also think, like, you can't just say, oh, it's not a mistake, because it is a mistake. In the end, it didn't work out, so it's a mistake. Whether the decision at the time makes sense or not, in hindsight, it didn't work out. Just like starting Lukaku against Palace didn't work out, even though it was somewhat justified after he obviously scored against Palmeiras in the Club World Cup final. But I will say, like, I'm not, like, super critical on Kepa and I'm going to start hating him. But I don't think we should just ignore the fact that he put a penalty like 3 yards over the bar. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what position you play as a footballer. You should be able to keep your ball lower than that. Like, yeah, that's not good. I mean, whether it was pressure, whether it was, I don't know, Liverpool getting into his head, he getting into his own head because he didn't save a penalty, I don't know. But you should do better on a penalty. Everyone should. I mean, Kelleher could, so Kepa could have done. But yeah, Clutch, obviously you were here in the aftermath of the cup final on Sunday. Now that you've had a couple of days to kind of sleep on it, reflect on it, slightly different thoughts or similar situation to a couple of days ago?
No, I mean, after that first day, I pretty much got over it. And it's one of those things where, for me personally, yeah, it hurts. But at the same time, like, you just got to move on. Like I put on Twitter, all this hatred towards Pulisic and Mount and even Kepa. Like, I seen just a few minutes ago that people are wishing Mount to tear his ACL, and it's like, no, we're not about that. That's not what we do. I don't care who it is. I wouldn't even wish that on Lukaku, no matter how mad I get at him. Like, that's not how we are. That's kind of silly, and I think to frame it as like these guys will never come back from this, and like, Liverpool had just as many chances and they missed it, but you're not going to go see them slandering Salah or Mane, even though they do have a lot more credit in the bank. I guarantee you that. So it's just one of those things that these things happen. Just wasn't our day. I firmly believe, like, if it's just not your day, things don't go your way. That's just how it is. Sometimes that's how life is. But, you know, does it hurt? Yes. But we got to get over it because we still got more games to play. We still got a rest of a season. We can't let these things bog us down for too long, because that's when things start unraveling. So for me, it's just about moving on and getting to the next game.
Yeah, I do agree. I do, like I said, I do want to reflect a little bit more on the cup final. Like Jem said already, like, we were brilliant. Liverpool had the moments. You could argue in big chances it was very even. Maybe they had a bit more, but the few big chances that we did have were bigger than the big chances that they had, in my opinion, at least. You can also debate, should their goal have been ruled out? I still stand by the fact that we got a bit lucky with that. But the reason why I'm not, like, giving them that much credit for it is because I think the free kick from which they scored was a blatant dive by Mo Salah. And I still don't understand the usage of VAR in the sense of, why would a goal count if the free kick was a dive? Like, Why not just look at the free kick then? It's the same as when teams score from corners that should have been a goal kick, and VAR can't, like, you don't have to look at every corner/goal kick, but if they score from it, just go back, because they also disallow goals if the ball's gone out of play for a throw-in. So why wouldn't they dare it then? Thank you very much. VJ, sorry, Clutch, but VJ was apparently quicker. So it is that. I will ask you now, before we get into the VAR for the offside. What are your thoughts on the red card or lack thereof for Naby Keita? I will say at the time, and I still kind of see that point in my head. Obviously, the screenshots, the still frame looks really bad. But I still think, to some extent, it's unlucky more than like harmful or anything else. And I think it's Chalobah that's the guy that's steaming rather than Keita in that situation. So I think I would have been okay in that situation with giving him a yellow card. But even then, he should have had a yellow card in the first half for elbowing Mason Mount in the face. So even if that second thing is a yellow card, he should have still been sent off. So obviously then it's not VAR, because VAR don't look at yellow cards. Even if it's a second yellow card, then it's the same effect on the game as a red card. Again, someone explain to me the VAR usage. Let's not even talking about the incapability of the referees that are set in front of the screens, but even the rules that these people in front of the screens are given make no sense to me half the time. But Jem, let me ask you, do you think it should have been straight red? Did you think, at least in combination of the two incidents, it should have been sent off?
Well, apparently this morning I had a Liverpool fan, and they still live in. I just don't get Liverpool fans. I really don't. They're still sending me images of these incidents saying, "Where's the elbow? Where's the foul? Where's this?" I'm like, you just won a trophy. Why are you still sending me images? You should go and celebrate, like what you're trying to prove. Basically, the elbow in the video that he sent me, which was a 1 second little clip, shows that he sort of caught Mount here, not here, in the face when he went and swung his arm. So their argument was it wouldn't have been a yellow anyway. In terms of the tackle on Chalobah, for me, it was just a straight red. I agree in terms of it being unlucky, but the letter of the law, and I keep banging on about this, and this is why I get annoyed with referees, to be consistent, they should all follow the letter of the law, not pick and choose when they want to use it. And because it was a final, because of the occasion, they chose, based on the fairness of play, to keep Keita on the pitch. At the end of the day, Chalobah had to have how many stitches in his inside his leg? Like, if you look at it where he actually got studied, like on all serious levels, like I'm surprised he could even have babies. Like, it was that close. Like, it was dangerous. Do you know what I mean?
Six stitches to fix it.
Yeah, he had 6 stitches. You know, that's nothing. We can't sit here in Laurenz and say it was unlucky. You know, I get that, but at the end of the day, the little law says that, you know, a foot in an endangered area, which it was in an endangered area of the player, is a straight red. For me, it's a straight red. I can't even sit here and defend it for me, because even what annoyed me more about it was the lack of looking into it. They didn't even look at it. It was like, oh, come on, get up, let's get on with it, throw the ball. It wasn't even like he didn't do this with his ear and go, right, yeah. Like, it was nothing. It was just like, you know, he went and checked on him, and he went and spoke to Kate. Kate pretended to be injured on the floor because he knew he was in trouble anyway. And then they both get up. You know, Chalobah's moaning about it to him. Why are you not looking at it? And he just walks off. Like, it's a red, all day a red. I don't know if you've got an image of it. It's an. I'm sorry. How can you get away with a challenge like that with your studs showing in that position as well? I'm sorry. There's no way in the world. If that was the other way round, I genuinely do think we would have been down to 10 men. I'm not joking. I genuinely think I just don't know how they've got away with that. It makes no sense how VAR have looked at that, if they haven't, which tells me they haven't, because if they did look at that and they had that image, there's no way in hell he would have been on the pitch, surely. It would go against everything that the letter of the book says. But for me, the thing is, right, I don't really agree with the letter of the book. I actually disagree with a lot of what's in there anyway. It's just that if we're going to have to be consistent, then we all should follow the rule. And because they're not consistent, this happens. And then we end up getting angry because they pick and choose what games they want to do it in. And that's the biggest problem at the moment with the game. And yeah, it is English referees. English referees at the moment are not competent enough, I don't think, to be reffing Premier League games. And it's not the technology. VAR it's not VAR. It's the people using it, 100%. So it's frustrating, mate. Yes, it is frustrating. But at the end of the day, barring all of that, we still have to look at ourselves because we should have won that game in our own hands. I'm talking about. We still should have won that game. So it's hard to just sit here and sulk and blame this as the reason why we didn't win. No, we should have won, but we have forwards that are inconsistent and can't finish. There you go.
1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. I mean, when you look at that, like I said, the still frame looks as guaranteed as it can be. If you watch it completely live or the whole video of it back and you see Chalobah flies in with his foot like that and then Keita flies in with his foot like that and Keita's just a second later, but neither touched the ball, by the way. I don't think either of them touched the ball. Then it's like, yes, a red. Or it's dangerous, but it was equally as dangerous by Chalobah. Chalobah just didn't happen to hit him, but that was purely down to luck. So, excuse me. That's the part that's weird to me. But yeah, it's like I say, for me, I don't care what any Liverpool fan says. If it's harder in the nose and more directly in the nose or whatever, then you're talking about straight red for the elbow. It's a yellow regardless of whatever it is. VJ, just quick thoughts on the red card or lack thereof, I suppose.
He had 6 stitches and he still managed to score a penalty for us. Absolute brilliance from Chalobah's end. We now know what's the pain that he might have gone through to continue for the rest of the game. So kudos to Chalobah for that. But refereeing in Premier League has genuinely become a problem. And I, for one, genuinely believe that the European success right now that Chelsea is enjoying is probably because of impartial refereeing in the European competition. If you think about it.
You said it, but...
Okay.
If I speak, I'm in big trouble.
All right. That's why you've got people like me. So we'll talk about it.
Exactly.
So I still think a lot has to improve in terms of VAR. The people officiating VAR, not in itself the VAR. And also one more thing that could probably help this cause is being more transparent about the decisions, because we've seen multiple sports where basically you can hear the VAR people or the fourth referee actually talking to the referee on the pitch and making decisions. Those decisions are relayed in the stadium and in the broadcast. And that could probably bring a bit of transparency in the decisions that you make. I don't know what is the hiccup in actually implementing those kind of challenge, those kind of rules into the game, because for a fact that technology is something that is going to be helping you in the future. And if you want to use technology, you got to use it in the right way. And a good start for using technology in the right way is to make sure everyone understands it. And the way that everyone will understand it is when you're transparent about it. And that's where I think a bit more transparency would really help, because I watch sports like cricket where, you basically can hear everything. And the same goes for even, I believe, rugby as well. So if that can be implemented in other sports, I don't think so. What's the hiccup in implementing the same in football as well? Hopefully we see those kind of changes. And I'm also, seeing some of the recent one thing with respect to Manchester City and Everton game where the referees have basically come out and apologized. This is not helping anyone. Your apology right now is not helping anyone. So what's the point in even apologizing? But at least they gave out an apology. So good job. But I also have been hearing something around the referee training that is probably going to be happening for the foreseeable future, like in the next year. Before the start of next year, the referees are probably going to undergo a refresher or an entire coursework. All Premier League referees should be taking up, apparently. So hopefully those kind of new steps that the FA is trying to do kind of improves the game a bit, because I hate when Premier League matches every day has to be about not the teams that played in it, but the referees who officiated it.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I'm not going to be able to get it up now because probably won't be able to find it, but I saw a map of birthplaces of all the Premier League referees. Not a single one is born even close to London. I mean, you said that there, VJ, in terms of the apology. I agree. That wouldn't change anything if there was an apology or, and at least accepting that the wrong decision was taken. But think about the amount of wrong decisions we've had, and we've never had an apology. But that's not even just to those people. I will also say that's a little bit to us. Because I've never seen Chelsea or a manager complain about the referee like Frank Lampard did after the game since Jose Mourinho. No manager at Chelsea does that. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, you can debate yourself. But if Lampard doesn't go as hard on the ref post-game, they probably don't get an apology either. But I mean, you can see in the little corner of the screen of the screen share here, that wasn't a red card. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no red card when Batshuayi was kicked in the balls by Maguire. There was no red card or no penalty given when Maguire wrestling tackled Aspie in the box. No apologies for either of those things. Just against Liverpool this season, Sadio Mane elbowed Azpilicueta in the face 5 seconds into the game, whatever it was. The clearest red card you'll ever see. Nothing. No apology, nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just a bit much. It's just a bit much, and it's just frustrating. Clutch, anything you want to add before we move on to the next thing?
I mean, it's just been a problem for a long time. I mean, the FA Cup under Lampard, Martinez handled the ball like 10 feet out of the box, and nobody said a thing about that at the time. It's been a problem for a long time. The discussion is needing to be, like we put here in the private chat, bringing in foreign refs. I mean, that's been a discussion here that's been on like the American perspective of like the Premier League and how like bad the refs are and why they don't do it. And they don't have the answer because, you know, I mean, clearly it's not the technology because the technology works. It's the people who handle the technology, like Jem said. It's just like how they see it might be different. Maybe some of these refs are even falling back to, hey, if I don't get this right, VAR will catch me, but then VAR doesn't catch it, or like the people inside VAR don't catch it or whatever, don't want to catch it. Whatever the situation needs to be, but I think that should be the Premier League's like biggest thing coming up in this off season is figuring out how to change this, because I mean a lot of people are suffering from it. Everton's going to lose points, which in a desperate race to stay inside the Premier League, I mean it could have consequences, like it did for us multiple different times. So I mean we got to figure it out because at this point it's costing trophies, points, all these things that just have real
injuries. Do you know what I mean? Like
injuries
in Chalobah here. Like it's not just nothing. And see what Real Chelsea says here. Who cares? Though apology doesn't make me feel better. No, it doesn't. But what an apology does do is them accepting that they got it wrong. But they've never done that with any of the wrong decisions they've made against us. So the public, if you're not as into it as Chelsea and you haven't seen that game, you know nothing about it. Everyone knows now that, you know, the referee accepted it and made a mistake in that City against Everton game, or Everton against City game, I should say. They've never done that for us. Like, I'm not saying it would change anything, but at least they would accept the fact that they got it wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be, not that it means anything, but I also think it would put a certain amount of pressure on referees in future games once something like that has happened. We will continue on this topic in just half a second. I do have something to tell you about, though. As I have done for the last game already, we're this month sponsored by Manscaped, which is brilliant because they are the best in men's below the waist grooming. They offer precision engineered tools for your family jewels, and they recently launched the ultimate men's hygiene bundle, the performance package 4.0. And if you want an offer just for you, get 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code LAUSCFC at manscaped.com. I'm honestly telling you, the performance package by Manscaped is an absolute game changer. I'll tell you what's in the performance package, all right? Well, first off, we've got the lawnmower 4.0, and it might be the future of grooming. Dare I say, the greatest ball trim ever. And yeah, it might sound dodgy, but things need to be trimmed. It's just what it is, you know, and I'm not lying. Like, they sent me the package. I told you before, send me the package. I would get it out, but you obviously unpacked everything, so now it doesn't look as nice anymore. But again, check out the website, use my code, and you can see all the lovely videos and pictures and all sorts of things. The 4th generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. It's also waterproof, has a little light at the front for a more precise shave. It's very good. And that's already, like, Jeremy, pretty good. But you can take your grooming game even further to the next level. The performance package also includes the weed whacker, nose and ear hair trimmer, another brilliant I mean, I shouldn't say accessory, but it kind of is. So you should definitely get that. And we're not done yet either, because they also bring you the crop preserver ball deodorant and crop reviver ball toner. Again, weird names, I get it. But trust me, these things smell brilliantly. And it's just very good. And to top things off, they even threw in 2 free gifts in their performance package 4.0. The Manscaped boxes and the Shed travel bag. Again, I keep saying this, but I'm a big fan of the travel bag. It looks sick, looks sleek. Do you know what I mean? And when you go on holiday, now that we're starting to be able to go on holidays again, you need somewhere to put your stuff. So, you know, if you don't have one now, if you don't like your old one, you get a new one. Brilliant. But yeah, bring your confident boxes to another level. It's time to take care of yourself. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code LAUCFC at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code LAUCFC at checkout. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Let me get back to the boys. You know, I don't want to be sat here by myself. So let's get the boys back on screen, because there is another thing we need to discuss. It's not just one thing. It's not just one thing. We get the other thing highlighted on the screen, because Romelu Lukaku, especially myself and Jim, also Clutch, I'm not 1,000,000% sure on VJ's thoughts on the whole situation, for me, perfectly honest with you. But we're not big fans of Lukaku after everything that happened and stuff and how he performed. But not only were Chelsea robbed of, like, you know, this is extra time. So, like, how likely is it really that we still concede an equaliser and still go to penalties? Not only were we robbed of a trophy, Lukaku was also robbed of a moment that could genuinely have changed everything about his Chelsea career. And this is the lines that Chelsea drew. If I zoom in a little bit, so you can see, I know it gets a bit blurry. You can't even see really the difference between red and blue line anymore. They called it offside. VJ, how on earth are they calling offside? I just want to explain something as well, by the way. What you can see on screen, they clearly, again, it's a bit blurry for you guys, obviously, because it's a bit far away. But they drew the line to the sleeve of his shirt, right here. And I said that on Sunday. I was of the belief that that is the rules, that's what we go by. That's where handball stops, like by the end of the sleeve. And that's also why you can be offside until the sleeve of your shirt. But as you know, I've been sent on Twitter by multiple people. They sent me screenshots of the literal FA rules on how to determine offside positions. And it quite literally says it's about the top of the arm, not the sleeve. So then I ask myself, do the referees even know the rules? Because that line was clearly drawn on the sleeve of the shirt. So if that's not the rules, why on earth would it ever be implemented like that? 2 other things. They also stated at the start of the season that the lines would be drawn thicker, and if these 2 lines of the attacking team touched, even only just touched, even if you're minusculely a tiny bit offside essentially, if the offside line touches the onside line into the two lines that they draw, it won't be given as offside. It will kind of be called level, like we used to have it before VAR was a thing. Not only did they draw the line wrong, the lines also touched, and they still called it offside. There is no excuse for this. Like, this is, I thought when it was happening, I thought, sure, like when the ref raised this flag, and I was like, are you sure? Because that looked very onside to me. And then they showed the lines. I was like, sorry, where did they draw that line? Like, excuse yourself? Like, it's just craziness, isn't it, VJ?
Absolutely. I'm not even able to see the second line, I'm to be very honest with you. I just see one line.
Yeah, no, that's more the picture's fault than the actual thing's fault.
But yeah, one more point. Probably he wore a full sleeve, but jokes aside. Anyways, I mean, they get their decisions wrong. And there's been so much of inconsistency. And that's exactly the reason why I'm saying these things need to be relayed in the broadcasting side of things. And you need to hear it. That's when you can understand why they're actually doing it. And this Zoom really helps me, first of all, to arrive at a conclusion. Wow. It's got to be ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to refrain.
Like, even his hand is onside. Like, you can't even say, like, the sleeve is off. Even the sleeve would be onside anyway. Like, yeah, sure, exactly. You can say, are these lines correct? Well, they look correct to me. They all look, like, level to each other. They look, like, rectangular and stuff. So, again, I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? But I
mean, we've seen instances where people actually, there were multiple lines drawn by people on their own and then posted on Twitter in the past, but I don't think so that these lines are one of those. That's why I'm going to stick with my point here. Lukaku definitely was onside, and his finish was also good. I think the goal should have been given, but again, it's just going round and round about this refereeing decision, and I'm tired of talking about it. But things needs to change, and if things change quickly, that is better for Premier League as a whole, because this officiating is the main topic that's being talked every single game, and it doesn't help the quality of the league either. And at some point, I don't want people who are following multiple leagues to just talk to us saying that your league is a joke because your referees don't even know what they're doing. It definitely impacts the quality of the league, and it's up to them. If they change it very quickly, they can uphold the quality of the league. Otherwise, it's going for a toss.
Like, it's true. Like, it's just, I mean, thankfully we won't have to put up with this for much longer, I presume, because obviously in the Club World Cup, it was first trialed the way they used kind of like goal line technology. They used multiple cameras to scan the pitch, and on those things, basically to the watch of the ref, make decisions of whether something was offside or wasn't offside. And that worked brilliantly at the Club World Cup. As far as I'm aware, in none of the games that took place there was a single wrong offside decision. That was kind of the trial for the Qatar World Cup, which obviously takes place later this year. And presumably the season after that, this will start to get implemented in world football. Of course, the Premier League, as they were with VAR, will take much longer than the rest of the world. But, in 3-4 years' time, we will probably have a more capable way of determining offside. But until then, something needs to change, because this is madness. Like, Clutch, obviously, we were sat here after the game and we were saying, if it's the sleeve, maybe we don't really know what the rules are. Even the sleeve was onside anyway.
Yeah, from that angle, it certainly looked like it. That's something. See, that's where I start to get like a little bit hesitant, because I mean, angles are very tricky, because who knows? I mean, from this angle, if this is what they have and the only thing they have, they got it wrong 100%. So from looking at this alone, I don't know why they would call it offside.
I get what you're saying with angles. Sorry to interrupt you there. I get what you're saying with angles, but it's simple mathematics. Like, all you need to know is the angle of the camera, which VAR should have, right? And then you just draw a line between the one side of the pitch and the other side of the pitch and make sure the line's straight. That's all you really have to do. Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, you should, but do they? Who knows? I mean, that's just the question. I mean, maybe it calls for more camera angles on the pitch. Maybe they're... who knows? I don't know the solution, because, I mean, it's just kind of coming back to that point of which there just needs to be something done about refereeing, because, I mean, it's just the referees that aren't good enough. Are they going to cost us points here and there? Yes, it's going to happen. Here, it cost us the title. It cost us the trophy. So, I mean, for me, I don't know what else to say other than, like, it's just one of those situations we got caught in this situation. But, like, I was watching Benson earlier talk about how Van Dijk could have been very easily not called for what he did for their goal that they scored. It's a lot of things, man, and I find, like, decisions like this, are we going to get robbed of offsides every once in a while? Yes. Does it need to change? Yes. But there's got to be an in-between, and they need to figure that out.
It's bad. Jim, anything you want to add to that, as some kind of half-breaking news came out as we're talking here, so we will get to that in a second. But anything you want to add on this VAR drama here of the offside?
Not really. I think that breaking news that you're talking about sort of took my mind. I've got a lot of people messaging me now about it. No, not really. At the end of the day, I mean, look at it. Unless they've got a different camera view to the one that we're looking at, and they deem that his finger is offside, I don't know. I genuinely, from that camera view, you can't really tell. I mean, looking on that, he's obviously his legs are Van Dijk's legs play him on side. He's within that. It's just his arm, but even that, just I don't know, man. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get how they work it out with the lines. I really don't. But we move. Not much to say on it, really.
Not much to say. Let's move on to that breaking news. I'm not sure if we'll ever get to actually talking about Luton today, but we'll try. Sorry, Luton. But what has just been released by the Telegraph, and then you reiterated to Twitter by Pice, big up Pice. As you can see on screen, breaking. Roman Abramovich will receive bids for Chelsea Football Club by the end of this week, with at least 3 parties circulating. And them 3 parties, not necessarily Matt Law, not anybody, but them 3 parties reportedly believe that Roman Abramovich has no other choice but to sell. Roman has previously turned down £2.2 billion bids and would at least expect his £1.5 billion of investment that he's done over the years, over the 19, 18 years, whatever it is, to be covered. Now, VJ just put it in the private chat of our call here as well, and he was like, the reports are that Roman Abramovich is selling 2 properties in London today, tomorrow, whenever it is. I'm not sure if there's only 2 properties or if he's just selling some of them. But yeah, again, no one said that Chelsea that he will accept them. 2 days ago, the press release, or not direct press release as such, but the information we were given by the media was that Chelsea remain insistent that the club is not for sale. While Roman Abramovich, again, I'm only talking about reports. It was initially reported by the Jewish News, then reported by, or confirmed by Abramovich, by a spokesperson by Abramovich, but then, according to the Telegraph, also confirmed by a source that has nothing to do with either sets of the situation. That Abramovich is actually involved in trying to negotiate peace. We'll also say the first attempt of negotiating peace has failed, but they are apparently willing to talk again. Again, I don't want to get into politics. I'm just trying to explain the situation. But what are we thinking about that, Jem? Not obviously that he's negotiating peace. I mean this.
Well, to be honest, I was not long ago talking about Roman on my own channel, actually, and saying that, I don't think he'll be going anywhere anytime soon, even though he'd made the actions that he did in regards to creating the foundations and whatever else. And, I did hear about him, selling his house and whatever else. I just thought that's because he knew he was never getting back in his country at this rate, because even before all these sanctions, he had problems with his visa anyway. So this isn't new for Roman Abramovich not being able to come into the UK anyway. But
I don't think it's houses that he was ever planning to live in. I think it's more like, property as an investment.
Yeah.
Because he's scared that they're going to sanction that. Might as well sell it so you keep the money.
I asked Piers just now, I DM'd him privately, and I just said, like, how serious do you think this news is? Because basically, I just thought it might be Matt Law just trying to cause a bit of chaos here, But then at the same time, Matt Law is one of these guys that are meant to be tier 1, reputable Chelsea guy at the same time. And I'm sure with news as big as this is not something that he would just throw out there. And he said it's pretty serious. Obviously, it was an exclusive to him, but it's pretty serious in the way that he explained it. So, look, it doesn't officially say that he's accepted. It just says that he's willing to listen to 3 bids circulating. I still think that whatever bid comes in has to be not only, the 1.5 billion, he will definitely get covered, because let's just face it, whoever comes in and takes over Chelsea next, for me personally, is going to be a lot richer than him. Like, a lot richer than him, I think, personally. And that's purely because of the way Chelsea have been set up for the last 20 years and the value of this football club as well. You're going to have to pay his 1.5 billion. You're then going to have to pay what the club's valued at, which I've heard could be anything between 2 to 3 million. You're pushing, a good, nearly 4 to 4.5 billion in money that for him to even maybe blink an eye. And not to say that they're not going to do that, because we don't know who the parties are, but if that does happen, you can kind of understand him doing it. And I don't think Roman Abramovich wants to sell Chelsea because he specifically wants to. I just think he's maybe worried or fearing for the worst in terms of what's happening with Russia and Ukraine. It's kind of forced his hand a bit and in the position, because he's worried about heavier sanctions against and stuff. So there's a lot behind it. And, it hurts reading it, don't get me wrong, because I don't want him to leave. I want him to be our chairman. I think what he's done at Chelsea over 20 years, I think for me personally, he's probably the best chairman out there in football, for me personally, in the way, not only just because of what he's done in terms of funding the club, but the care that he's had towards this football club. He's a big fan of this football club. He watches us like many chairmen don't bother. He's always had an interest in Chelsea, and I don't think what I'm trying to get is I don't think it's going to be as easy as, him next week to accept a bid. I think it's really going to be hard for him to let go of this. Really, really hard. I don't think he will just sit there and go, right, yeah, any bid comes in, I'm going to take it. That's not what I feel. I feel it's got to be a really good bid. I think it's got to be higher than the 4 billions, I think, including his debt owed to him from obviously from what he's lent to Chelsea as well. So we'll just have to wait and see how these bids circulate, if they are true, what's offered, and if there is any serious bid. Like I said, I think it's going to have to be more than 4 billion. But that's my personal opinion on it.
Could well be the case, no, for sure, 1,000,000%. I mean, it is very dramatic. I mean, one thing you said there, which I think is great, but at the same time is exactly why I'm slightly worried that this could actually happen, that he does care about the club. And if he's seriously worried that sanctions hitting him could affect the club, if that is the case, I do believe that there is a good chance he could sell. The question that what we don't know at this moment in time is whether those sanctions could affect Chelsea, or in what way they could affect Chelsea. Will he even be sanctioned? Those kind of questions that we're not 1,000,000% sure of. What I will do now is I will just get the article by Matt Law up and we'll read through together, just so I'm not saying Pice has missed anything out, but just in case there's anything like in the small print, as you would say, that we could be missing or whatever. So let me just get through it. Obviously, you can all read along on screen, but I'll just read it out just in case people are listening to this and not actually watching but cooking or whatever they're doing. So Roman Abramovich, as reported by the Telegraph and Matt Law, to receive bids for Chelsea this week as pressure mounts on the owner. Exclusive potential buyers believe Russian could be open to selling the club for the first time. Roman Abramovich will receive bids to sell Chelsea this week, with at least 3 parties circling the Stamford Bridge club in the belief that the Russian billionaire, for the first time, will consider a sale. Offers are being prepared to reach Abramovich by the end of the week, with the threat of sanctions hanging over Chelsea's owner, who has faced calls to have his assets frozen and seized following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Again, let's not focus on that part too much because we're not here to talk about politics. Chelsea have previously insisted the club is not for sale, but the mood from the outside at least is changing. And there is a feeling that Abramovich could be left with no other option, with his resolve to hang on to the club to be tested. There have also been claims that Abramovich is prepared to sell his mansion in Kensington Palace Gardens. One big potential hurdle to the sale of Chelsea would be if Abramovich is sanctioned before the end of the week, as interested parties would then have to wait for clarity over whether or not they could trade with the 55-year-old or his associates. Abramovich has previously turned down offers worth £2.2 billion for Chelsea, while the club's debt to him is £1.5 billion or £1.51 billion, which he would almost certainly expect to be covered, well, obviously. Bidders have been emboldened, never heard that word, but sure. Bidders have been emboldened by Abramovich's move to try to hand the day-to-day running of Chelsea to the board of trustees of the club's charitable foundation. Chelsea insisted the intended change was Abramovich's attempt to put some distance between himself and the club, but the interested parties saw it as a first move towards countenancing a sale. Sorry, not sure how to pronounce that word. And have not been put off by subsequent claims of him attempting to help peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Head coach Thomas Tuchel on Tuesday was asked about Abramovich's position, and he said, "I have to say that it's a bit too much for me to answer. I am not aware of any details. I'm not aware of the whole situation. We all agree that there are situations much, much more important than football. This will never change, and situations like war are, of course, much more important. But the role of Mr. Abramovich is not for me to comment on because I simply don't know enough about it." Pushed by broadcasters to discuss the war in Ukraine and Abramovich's possible involvement in talks, Tuchel lost his temper and added, listen, you have to stop. I'm not a politician. You have to stop. Honestly, I can only repeat it. It's horrible. And I even feel bad to repeat it because I never experienced war. So even to talk about it, I feel bad because I'm very privileged. I sit here in peace and I do the best I can. But you have to stop asking me these questions. I have no answers for you. As reported by the Telegraph Sport, Abramovich's handover plan to the group of 6 trustees is already in danger of descending into chaos, with individuals considering quitting and the Charity Commission launching an inquiry. Chelsea are already braced for the fact the trustees may need to be replaced or that the plan may need a complete rethink, with more talks taking place this week. Trustees are believed to want the inclusion of an indemnity insurance police to ensure that they are not liable for any financial ramifications the club may suffer while they are in charge. Tuchel, whose team faced Luton Town in the FA Cup on Wednesday night, reiterated the fact that he does not expect Abramovich's decision to relinquish the running of Chelsea, while for now at least still being owner, to impact him. I think that for me, as a coach and in charge of the first team, that decision does not change too much the daily business, said Tuchel, because I'm in daily exchange with Petr Cech and very regular exchange with Marina Granovskaya about how to improve the first team, and this will not stop because they stay in charge, in brackets, of football. So on a daily basis, it will not change too much for me. I've read through it now. Clutch, any reaction?
Sorry, I had to wake my mouse up. But you know, I think Jem said a lot of it. It's Roman does care about this club, and everything we've seen him do so far is trying to protect this club from whether it be incoming sanctions, because of his former ties with the president of Russia. You know, it's one of those complicated situations, because I can, not to get into the political side of this, but we don't know exactly what anybody's relationship is right now with the president or what's going on. So who knows what's going on other than few people. Like, and then you see people in the UK Parliament talking about, like, they just need to take Abramovich down, all these things. It's like, we don't know anything. Maybe this is Abramovich saying, hey, just to protect Chelsea, maybe this is what I got to do just to make sure that they don't suffer because of my past or whatever, you know? I mean, it's such an uncertain thing. And I think it's just important that we understand that, like, people may be Russian, but it's not their fault. It's one person's fault, and that's the only thing. Other than that, I don't really have a judgment on anybody else. So for me, it's a hard one, because I don't want to see Roman sell, but if it's the best thing for Chelsea and that's what he believes, maybe that's how it is. I don't know.
It's only a tough one. VJ, your camera is off, so let me know if you're here or not. There you are. Any thoughts on what we just read through together?
I don't know where to start here. I mean, we were all looking into, at least I was looking into the account statement to understand what would be the repercussions if it all happens, right? This sort of a move, and all that I was able to gather is that this particular money that Roman owes Camberley Investments is span across 18 months. So basically, it's not that he has to pay it immediately. Basically, there need to be a 3 months notice, post which there is an 18 months timeline that he can actually pay back to Camberley International Investments. That is on the second part of the tweet, right? That he is expecting that 1.3 billion to come back. I'm not sure if that is that simple. And even if the buying club is interested to do that, then it would be probably in installments, or it would be amortized probably. But what I'd like to say with respect to this situation, if at all Roman is considering to sell the club, I think we'd still be in a good position in terms of the financial value that Jem as well touched upon. It's not going to be like just because Roman is not in a good position, the club's value is not going to decrease. It's obviously higher. Like KPMG during their last evaluation, the audit evaluation, gave Chelsea Football Club a total asset evaluation of 2.2 billion. Right, so it's going to be somewhere around that, right? And you could see this 2.2 billion being rejected as well. I think these numbers coincide to an extent, and that's probably the reason why the bid came across with the original value of KPMG, whatever they have audited and ensured. Put up, but. I'm probably expecting the bid to be somewhere around 3.84, something around that. One thing that I'd definitely be missing of Roman era, if things are going to happen this way, would be that kind of a passion that he had for the club, the way that he broke the stereotype of Liverpool's and Arsenal's and United just winning trophies, and then we have Chelsea coming in into the mix and then starting to change the Premier League, the dimension itself. These things definitely will be missed, obviously. And one of the best owners, and I hate to see politics being involved in sports. And this definitely doesn't help the cause. This is just a precedence that is being set right now in the Abramovich situation, which could go, which could actually affect other owners as well going forward, that they might not realize right now. But whenever there is some problem or issue with these countries, they're just gonna, call for their owners to be selling the club. It's never a good thing. It's high time that we keep politics out of sports. And in terms of the biddings as well, I heard from a few of my sources, and one Bloomberg terminal itself, and there are private equity investors who are lining up bids for Chelsea Football Club, one of them being McLaren Racing Company, and the other one being a sports entertainment company from...
McLaren Racing Company? Excuse yourself. I'm fuming. If McLaren buy Chelsea, I'm off. Stop that.
Don't shoot the messenger. And
I'm fuming. Porta Ferrari.
and also one more interest came from an Canadian sports investment company. I think Guy Laurenz is already in talks with them or something, but these are informations that I'm getting from a few of the Chelsea sources. It could go either way. I'm not going to say it's a verified source or anything, but then these are the interests that we are potentially attracting, and we would still continue to attract, this sort of interest, because it's a very well-run club, successful club, and of course, there's going to be a very good valuation for Chelsea Football Club in the market. But would we still see the same passion from the owner that we saw in the past? That's the real question mark.
It is a big question, mate. It's a tough one. A lot of people in the chat were discussing, like, do you know what I mean? Like, is Marina going to stay? She has to stay. This is way too far in the future. Personally, if Roman Abramovich was to sell the club, the likelihood of Marina Granovskaya staying on, to me, is quite slim. But who knows? I did also see the super chat from earlier. It was just about the Keita Chalobah situation, hence why it didn't quite fit the situation. I will get to that super chat in a second, but this one does actually fit the topic, so I appreciate the donation a lot. But Pulisic's personal doctor. It's a funny name, but here you go. People don't realize the ball isn't in Roman's court anymore. He will probably get lowball because any billionaire buying the club will be strategic and no Roman worrying about being sanctioned. Which is why I think they're trying their hardest to make sure they can give the club, for the time being, while not changing ownership, but changing stewardship and care, trying to give it to the Chelsea Foundation Trust. Because if they find a way to make that happen, then the club cannot be sanctioned by government, because charities are basically untouchable for governments in that sense. So that's the whole idea. You can call it a loophole, you can call it dirty play if you don't like it, but that's what they're trying to do anyway. So if they can make that happen, regardless of whether then Roman chooses to sell or not, it should keep the value of the club itself at least untouched, which would be very important. I do agree that, he might not be able to get much higher than the 2.2 billion he's previously turned down, because, obviously the fact that he might be willing to listen to offers, that in itself lowers the value. Do you know what I mean? It's like in the transfer market, when you're trying to sell a player, you will get less money than a player you're trying to keep. That's just how it works, and it's the same in this scenario. How exactly it's all going to pan out, who knows? No one will know. Christensen to Barca, Laurenz, yeah, that's also one thing that's happening. Not necessarily right now, but at some point. And it's
there was a thing that just came out that says there's a 99% agreement between Christensen and Barcelona.
Yeah, but it's Christensen, so we know his verbal agreements don't mean much. So,
Careful now, Lewis is going to come out of the dark.
He might do, but do you know what I mean? What I will say is, again, appreciate the the donation, Doctor. Forgot what I wanted to say now. Oh yeah, can we just can anyone give Elon Musk a call or something? Like, we'll have a Chelsea badge on Mars in a couple of years' time. That'd be quite cool. imagine Tesla as the sponsor in the front of the show. Imagine how sick that would look. It would be class. Do you know what I mean? We'd be flying. Give it a few years, we're flying around in electric planes and shit. Do you know what I mean? It'd be a madness. So if not Roman, why not Elon Musk? But I can't remember whether it was VJ or whichever one of you guys said it. But the big important thing is that whoever it is sold to, if it is sold, it's being the club. I just hope it's sold to someone that cares and not to like a Glazers family, not to the family that owned Liverpool. I don't even remember. One of them.
Kroenke, Arsenal.
Kroenke's Arsenal.
FSG,
Liverpool
FSG,
is
Liverpool.
Liverpool is like an investment group that has like LeBron James and all that.
They still have a name and I forgot it. What FSG?
FSG. Yeah, FSG.
I don't want owners like that don't seem to care that much. Sure, success. But do I want an owner like City, where there's rumors that they've killed people in the UEFA to not be in the mud? Again, rumors, allegedly, don't come for me, please, City. I'm a poor little man living in Austria. Leave me alone. And yeah, you can debate, why is Newcastle allowed
You had to give them your address, is it?
Sorry?
You had to give them your address also? You said Austria and all that.
Hey, come knocking. I'll have a check ready. But for them to sign to give me the money. Yeah, you can debate, why is Newcastle allowed to have the club? Again, that's politics, not something I want to get into. But if you think about it logically, it's a simple explanation why all of a sudden in Europe they care and about other things they didn't care. Whether that's right or wrong is a different discussion, but it's quite obvious at least. And by the way, Blade in the comments, Global, just don't even react to him. That's what he wants. If none of you react to him, he will stop because he'll get bored. So don't react to him. He's just trying to troll. None of us have reacted to you. So just stop because it's a bit boring. I'm not going to block you for it, but really, do we look like we care about what you have to say? Not really, mate. But yeah, difficult times. I don't want us to be sold from Abramovich, but I also don't want the situation that we have had over the last couple of days where a manager, I would almost love to play the clip, but I'm not sure how well it will translate via the stream. But just quickly to touch on, obviously it was mentioned in the article anyway, but Thomas Tuchel snapping at the journalist today. They keep being asked about the situation, what Roma does, what Roma doesn't do. It's not Thomas Tuchel's job to answer these questions, and I very much back him for reacting the way he did. I think the club must protect him because, and I saw some people say, it's understandable that these questions need to be asked because he's the most senior person at Chelsea that does speak to the media. Not wrong, but if it was the kit man that was giving press conferences and he was the most senior person at the club talking to the media, would they ask him the question? No. So leave Thomas Tuchel out of it. He has no education in politics. He doesn't know what Abramovich does or did or has done or will do or whatever. He doesn't know. So leave the guy alone. Leave the guy alone, man. The guy looked close to tears, man. The poor guy looked close to tears in that clip. Clutch, any reaction to the Tuchel scenario before we move on to actually talking about Luton, even though Jem actually has to leave quite soon?
No, I think journalists should stop asking questions about that. That's not what we're here for. Ask about the game. Stop asking about the outside things because he that's not what he's involved in.
I agree, Jem.
Yeah, I'll back him 100%. But we know that the English journalists have a tendency of saying and asking stupid questions. This is nothing new. And apparently, actually, I think it was Matt Law that asked it. It was Matt Law that was there.
Yep. Matt Law.
So
no, it was Matt Law that asked that question. I mean, he might have asked that question, but he was not the one he snapped.
Yeah, no, because I see everyone going, because I was live, everyone's going, Matt Law just asked Tuchel a stupid question and he's now shouting at him. I don't know, God knows. That's what I
don't think that was actually
Matt Law didn't ask the question.
I don't think it was.
So, Laurenz, it was basically a flurry of questions, right? One after the other of the same topic. Out of that, one was Matt Law, I believe. So it wasn't the Matt Law who got snapped at, actually.
If you're a manager trying to concentrate on what's important, which is winning games, why are you going to want to talk about political stuff? I know with our owners Russian and there's loads going on, but he's not there to answer them questions, is he? Like, he's there to look after the squad and get the best out of the players and get the victories. You know what I mean? I just don't get journalists sometimes. Some of the questions they ask they just confuse me. No wonder he reacted like that, and I back him 100%. Back him for reacting like that.
1,000,000%. Let me go back to that super chat from earlier. I do apologize, Lurifix, that I haven't gotten to it yet. I also can't lie, not sure what that currency is, but I appreciate it. So basically, the tackle on Chalobah is straight red because Keita enters the situation with the studs up. Doesn't matter what you say, he has to consider player safety, therefore straight red and simple. I agree with that, but by that logic, it still needs to have physical contact because without the physical contact, Chalobah did the identical thing. So then by that logic, both should be sent off. But Chalobah didn't hit the guy, but it still had his studs showing and in dangerous areas. So that, you know. But anyway, appreciate the donation. Again, I have no idea how much money this is. I have no idea what the currency is, but hey. Let's talk about Luton.
A millionaire, mate.
Sorry?
Said you're a millionaire.
Clearly. With 100 of whatever that is, I'm now a millionaire. Love it. Appreciate it, Lurifix. One other thing that Thomas Tuchel mentioned in his press conference, that we have so many players injured that he doesn't even know, that he doesn't even want to tell us who all those players are. There was a few players that missed training, but probably even more so that I doubt, even though they were in training. I presume, let me just get it up because Nathan did send it to me. So not pictured in training was Hakim Ziyech, Azpilicueta, Andreas Christensen, Thiago Silva, and Trevor Chalobah. Obviously, not Andreas Christensen. Hakim Ziyech was the only one confirmed by Thomas Tuchel that he will miss this game as well, unfortunately. Azpilicueta, of course, came off injured last game, so that's not a big surprise. Andreas Christensen missed the last game with some sort of Achilles injury. And Thiago Silva is 37 years of age, so whether he's fit or not, chance of him being involved tomorrow, I think, is quite slim. And Chalobah needed 6 stitches. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he might still be fit or available tomorrow, but I'm not sure. Mendy also wasn't pictured in training, but apparently people are getting the impression that some players might have had an extra day to recover. So really what that tells us is that we have no centre-backs. That's what we know. Because basically none of our centre-backs except Rudiger we're in training. So that's brilliant. And Malam Sarr, of course. Which makes me believe that we will play in a back 4 tomorrow, because what other bloody options do we have? If we actually only have 2 centre-backs available and they are Rudiger and Sarr, well, then it's probably going to have to be a back 4. There will be rotation. How much rotation is the question? Obviously, Luton are a championship side. They've just, I think, on the weekend, with a good result, managed to actually get their way into, let me just get the championship table up. So I can actually tell you exactly where they are. So I don't, tell you some waffle, basically. There it is. Table. So they are currently 6th now in the playoff spots, which is crazy because they have a stadium of 10,000. It's basically just, neighbours with a normal house. The fact that they could potentially, whether they will or not, the season will tell, could potentially win the Premier League is mad. But they're certainly not a team to be underestimated. It's certainly not Chesterfield. It's certainly not even Plymouth. And we struggled plenty against Plymouth as it is. So doesn't make it simple tomorrow, does it, Jim?
No, it doesn't. Not only, the injury thing is a bit of an issue. Don't get me wrong. Did I expect most of them names that you rang out to start? Probably not, to be honest. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I do think there'll be a 4 at the back. They'll definitely play that. I expect the likes of people like Werner and Ziyech to start these games. I know
Ziyech is still out.
Is he? Is he out as well? Sorry.
He was one of the people confirmed.
Yeah. So,
Nizar was the one who asked the question also. Ziyech is out.
Ziyech is out as well. So we've got Ziyech out, Thiago Silva out. Who else we got out? Christensen out and Aspie out. Yeah. Reece James is all right.
And Chalobah, potentially.
And Chalobah, obviously, with his poor stitches in his legs. So, do you want me to give you mine before I go? Because I've got to shoot anyway. Yeah.
Please do.
Okay, cool. So in goal, I'm going to obviously go with Kepa. I think he will start this game. I'm going with this is where it gets hard, doesn't it? Because I think Reece James has to play. So I'm going to put Reece James right back.
Right. Obviously, I don't know if you watched the press conference, but the way Tuchel spoke about in terms of how much of an overload he now had, because it was recommended for him to play 20 minutes and then he played over an hour. Personally, I'm not even sure if he'll get subbed on, if I'm honest with you, after what he said.
Yeah.
But he did
but
train. So.
it's not that. What other options do we have? Unless he brings some of the academy in and plays them, and I'm not going to guess who's going to be picked. Don't get me wrong. If he's not giving us
I
the
said that.
answers.
Sorry, let me actually just change that quickly. Just to one other minor option that we could potentially have if we play a back three. What's his face?
Sarr.
No, the youngster that played against Chesterfield.
Lewis Hall.
Oh, Lewis Hall.
Lewis Hall, yeah. He played left
Lewis
centre
Hall.
back against them. So if we then play a back three and we have, I don't know, play Sarr here and play Rudiger there, we can play a back three and then we can just play Hudson for a wingback.
Or you can still play a back four and just play Hall, Sarr, Rudiger. And it's just
But I'm saying that if we can't use James and Aspie isn't fit, then who plays right back?
Yeah, all right. I hear you. All right, we'll leave it like that. That makes it a bit more easier, doesn't it, really? Anyway.
Yeah. Would you pick Lewis Hall then in that scenario? I'm not even sure if Lewis Hall is trained with the first team, if I'm being perfectly honest. I know a couple of them have. I'm not sure if he's one of them.
He did, yeah. So I'm going with Lewis Hall. Yeah, 100%. I think Lewis Hall will play this. This is the game that I think you'll see him come into, this type of game. In terms of the wing backs, I think we're going to end up doing something that we don't like seeing, which is Cho playing on the left.
No shout for Kennedy in this game?
I forgot about Kennedy. He's even kicked a ball for us, isn't he?
No,
I wouldn't say.
But if he doesn't, for me, if he doesn't play tomorrow, he will not play for the rest of the season. Then what the fuck was the point?
All right, let's make it fun. Let's throw Kennedy in there.
Go on, then.
Why not?
Come on, let's go,
Kennedy. Callum Hudson-Odoi on the right wing. And then in midfield, Jorginho will definitely play. And I think
Saul and Ruben maybe.
I think Sal and Jorginho. I don't know why. I've got a feeling it's gonna be. Oh, it could be Ruben. It could be Ruben or Jorginho. So I'm going to be Ruben, Jorginho, or it's going to be Sal and Jorginho. One of the two. I don't know who.
Okay.
Go, you want.
To be honest, I don't actually think you're wrong. Like, because it's a championship side, it's away. I don't think we'll just overly over. Although if I've seen that pitch, Jorginho is probably the last player that should be playing on that pitch. Jorginho's style of football probably suits that pitch the least.
Yeah. Front three. I am going to go with Timo Werner on the left. I am going to say Christian Pulisic, or you can do Werner on the right, Pulisic on the left, if you want.
No Harvey Vale shouts for you?
No.
Fair?
No.
Oh, you switched them? I mean, to be honest, if I'm honest with you, if those two play, I think it's more likely this way around, as sad as it is for Pulisic.
Yeah. And up front, I was going to say Lukaku, because he seems to keep playing Lukaku in these small cup competition games, like just to try and get him some goals.
We didn't start the last two, so it would make sense, I guess.
Who else we got? We got Jude, didn't we? Jude could potentially play up there.
He's not been training with the first team. I'm pretty sure.
Didn't
he also miss the last under 21s game with injury? But don't quote me on that.
It's got to be Lukaku, because he didn't play against Liverpool anyway, and he played half hour, was it? Was that? So yeah, I would go with that 3-4-3. Yeah. We should win with that team anyway. That team should beat Luton. Any team we put out should beat Luton.
We just need to make sure we score enough, because that defense might be a little bit,
shaky.
Open.
But with Werner, Lukaku, and Pulisic, like if they can't score against Luton, then I mean, we've got two strikers there that cost us what in combined, like in value of like Saint Stupid around 150, 60, 70 million there. Like if they can't score goals past Luton, then we're done, man. But we'll see. Wouldn't surprise me. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, I think we'll win anyway. I'll go for a 3-0 Chelsea as well.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully we need it. Like I said, I'm not like, no matter what happens tomorrow, we won't be super gassed. I mean, if we win 10-0, we'll be all super gassed. But, anything other than that, we'll be like, But yeah, hopefully you're right. Hopefully you're right. I appreciate you very much for coming on. Everybody subscribe to Jem's channel at GNA TV. Link is, of course, down in the description. Jem, have a good rest of your day, and we'll chat to you soon. Yeah, thanks for having me as always. Make sure you smash them likes up, guys. We've only got 38 likes, which is pretty unacceptable when there's 430 people. I haven't even asked for it. Thank you.
Well, so make sure you get these likes up and subscribe as well. And I'll talk to you in a bit. Thank you for having me as always. See you later.
Appreciate you, mate. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Like Jem said, to be fair, ladies and gentlemen, do smash that like button. It's not a big stream today in terms of viewers, but I'll be surprised really because we're playing Luton. I'm not. But the ones of you that are here, I appreciate you very much. Make sure you smash that like button. It doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. And also, while you're at it, please do subscribe. BJ, I haven't spoken to you in a minute, so I'll get back to you. For the reasons of potentially not having Chalobah, not having Christensen, not having Aspie, not wanting to start with Reece James, not to overload them, does that back three make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, the entire team makes sense for me. So I don't even see where. I'm struggling to even understand if I can make any changes here. It's probably what I'd go with as well.
Fair dues. So Kepa and goal for you, yeah, a bit of a potential chance for salvation, a little bit.
For me, Kepa and Lukaku playing tomorrow could be a bit of a confidence booster for them, and that is required. And probably against Luton, that'll be great. Hopefully, it'll be a great game for them.
I hope so, mate. I hope so. The midfield. It is weird that Jorginho hasn't played, but is this really the game where we're going to need to use Jorginho? Like, just play Saul and Ruben, man. Like, you give some squad players some minutes. That's the whole point. But then again, it's a good championship team, so shouldn't underestimate it. So
the reason why I say that is because there's no leaders on the pitch. Like the back seven, if you go with the back seven, no one is actually a leader on the pitch, and I don't think so. Even if I don't think so. Even if we want, maybe we want Saul and RLC to play, but Thomas Tuchel, I don't think so. He plays even a single game without his captain or vice captain being on the pitch. So I think that way, probably Jorginho gets some game because Aspie is not there anyways. If it was Silva, then I would have probably gone with Saul and RLC. But since Silva is also not there, I think there needs to be someone who needs to bring that stability, that calmness in the back. Who better than Jorginho?
Yeah, I do see that. And then in the front three, no chance for redemption for Mason Mount.
Interesting, isn't it?
Because he could arguably need the confidence boost the most from anyone.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like that could be an option as well, and maybe you have Pulisic on the bench and then utilize him like last 20 minutes or something. Because right now, with the way that the team is being structured, Pulisic is part of the front three right now. Like he gets to play most games at least, given his form in the last Premier League games. I think he would start in the upcoming games. So it wouldn't harm for Pulisic to be rested and Mason Mount to start. Yeah, good call actually. We can probably use Mount on that right wing, Werner left, have Pulisic replace Werner, or maybe Mount itself because why would he even want to?
Quite a lot recently, to be honest. So that's why I'm personally not. I don't think Pulisic will or should start, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and even if you want Pulisic to come in from the bench, I still think he should be replacing Mount and not Werner because Werner's not anyways playing the other games. So he should be in a good physical shape to play for the entire 90.
There you go. I do agree. Clutch, your thoughts? I mean, you can talk about the whole team if you want.
You know, reminding me that Reece James probably has had an overload of minutes. My original thought was going to a back four because I'm tired of Mount in the front three. I think he offers one thing in the front three, and that's basically his pressing, you know. I know.
I don't think you can say that because he is the guy that missed the chances. That means he was the only guy that got into those positions. No one else did.
Yeah, he was
making it once, but he's the only one that did it twice in the whole game.
Yeah, because he was making those runs, which
finally
that happens. That's something he doesn't usually do, you know. And to get into those positions, sure, but I don't like. I know a lot of people are blaming Mount, which is relatively understandable, but it's like I don't expect Mount to speak how good Mount is. The fact that he is scoring when I don't think he's a finisher, and he is one of our top scorers, that's what I think is impressive to me. I think Mount is a midfielder. I don't think he should be anywhere else, and unfortunately in this formation, we have to put him up front, which I think really kind of makes people forget how good this guy is. And I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's terrible." It's like, no, I don't think the front three suits him. But you have to have him in your team for some of the other things that he does. But if we're going into a back three, like I said, you're gonna have to put Mount in the front three. Werner is somebody who I vowed to never put in my starting lineup again because I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's technically good enough. But you don't really have much options because I do agree that Pulisic probably needs a little bit of a rest. Maybe if you don't play Kennedy, like you said, are you ever going to play him? But I know Dylan Williams trained with the first team today, so he might be an option. We'll see.
Is he an ex-wing back?
Yes, Dylan Williams is the guy they brought in for the left wing back, remember?
Oh, yeah, that's the guy we signed. I remember now. I was like, I know that name, but I've not really heard about him much in the context of weight. Yeah. True, maybe. But then, like you just said, we recalled Kennedy. Why on earth would we then play the guy we just signed from Derby?
Yeah, so it would be hard. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. Kennedy hasn't played football in what, 3 months? Something like that. So maybe it's the game to give him a run. Maybe. I don't know. A little shaky about that. But I'd probably...
He has, so...
That's true.
If it's not tomorrow, it's never. So,
you know what? Let's just give him a run. But I pretty much agree with the entire team. Maybe move Rudiger to the middle and start to the right, but we'll see.
But Sar's left-footed, bro. That's why I did it.
Is
that
he?
way.
I thought he was right-footed. Okay,
No.
then yeah, keep it the way it is. We're good then.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I agree on the goalkeeper. Obviously, the back three was kind of my suggestion. But not necessarily because I want to do that. I would be okay with the Sar really got back two or centre back two in a back four. But if we don't have a right back, I'd rather play a back three and play Callum at wing back than do anything else silly, really. Obviously, maybe you'll play one of Kennedy or Williams on the other wing, and then you can put Callum in the front three. Maybe that's a debate to be had. Personally, as much as I think Mount needs and deserves it, Bale should be starting in either one of those positions. Bale needs to be starting. I don't care what anyone says. Like, if we want these types of players, and that's the same thing, same shit we did with Livramento. These types of players, you need to give them minutes in cup games because otherwise they won't stay. They won't extend their contracts. So you need to give them this, like, I don't know, light at the end of the tunnel to, like, feel they have a chance to make the first team long term. And we didn't do that with Livramento. That's why he's at Southampton now, and we're going to have to pay 40 million next summer, so in 2023, to get him back.
I've made a decision.
Please.
I want Vale on the right and Mount on the left. Take away Werner.
Fair. I'm not sure how I'm going to word that because, yeah. I mean, I do. So if I did a predicted 11, right, I think that is fairly likely. No idea about this position. I think that is fairly likely. I think that is guaranteed. And if I'm honest, as much as you don't like to hear it, I'd be willing to put money on Werner starting. If I'm honest, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I would pick Ruben over Saul if it has to be Jorginho next to him. I wouldn't play both. If you don't want to play Kennedy, play both. Play Saul left wing back. Why on earth not? Who cares? But yeah, it's just a tough one. Like, we don't even know who's fit. We don't know who's not fit. So yeah, Joy Boy, obviously Hudson-Odoi right wing back. He won't be happy. His fans won't be happy. Again, I'm not saying that's what we should be doing, but Thomas Tuchel said in the press conference today that Reece James is heavily overloaded after the cup final because he was supposed to play no more than 20 minutes and he played over an hour. So with that said, for me, the likelihood of him playing tomorrow, let alone starting tomorrow, is very slim, personally. But I do then think that there is a chance that he starts against Burnley and then gets subbed off after an hour. Maybe not. It also depends on how his muscle reacted to playing an hour yesterday. But yeah, it seems to be a massive overload. So that's why Reece James is not right wing back or right back or whatever. He's not in that state for the time being. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's a team to play. Like I said, I would love Harvey Vale to be involved. I want Mason Mount to be involved in a way, just to, I don't know, get over it, maybe get himself a couple of goals. It is what it is. Let's just get the win. But at the same time, I'll be honest, I'll be brutal and I'll be honest. We just lose too much at Wembley. Even if most of the time it's down to VAR or referees, just lose too much at Wembley. So can't we just lose to Luton? Like, at least then we don't have to lose a final at Wembley, because I can't be bothered with losing a final at Wembley again. Now, obviously, I'm not serious, but yeah, it's a tough one. Go
on. Apparently, the development squad match, which was supposed to be happening today, Everton versus Chelsea, got postponed. So it's not happening.
Yeah.
So the players who were available for that could be utilized tomorrow, which means that you could have even Harvey Vale playing. Like if Vale and Hall were playing today, then you might not have their availability tomorrow. But since this game got postponed,
was that game not yesterday? Everton Chelsea game, or was it
March
supposed
1st?
to be? Then got called off, but it got called off anyway.
All I know is Hall, Vale, and Williams all trained with the first team today.
It's March 1st, basically. So it's today, basically.
Well, there you go. Then, because I just remember reading it yesterday, so that's why I wasn't sure.
Yesterday, it was announced that today it will be postponed or something like that.
Although, how can they make a decision on a waterlogged pitch the day before? That's a bit confusing to me. But anyway, it's your own, I suppose. But Jem said it is still raining. So, although I'm not sure how close Jem lives to Cobham, so who knows? Yeah. I'm just, these things just kill my mood, man. I mean, I can't lie, it would probably not do badly for YouTube if Roman sales were getting you own and everything. But, yeah. Not particularly pleased. I can't lie, ladies and gentlemen. Not particularly pleased about that. I hope we just get the win. Luton are a good team. Let's not take it too lightly, but let's also not. But at the same time, FA Cup is the only, well, not the only, but in terms of domestically, the only trophy we can still win. The Premier League is obviously not there. Sure, Champions League, but in terms of domestically. So you don't want to over-rotate it. I don't really know. BJ, any last thoughts, whether it's on any of the things we discussed previously or about the game tomorrow? Any last thoughts before we round it out?
I think it's a very sensitive topic when it comes to Roman Abramovich and the politics around Russia and Ukraine. I sincerely urge all Chelsea fans to, do not get involved in these type of conversations. Rather, try and involve more on the, Roman Abramovich and the Chelsea situation, because it could be taken out of context, and we've already had rivals on our backs, and this is probably the best time for them as well to talk anything about us and everything about us, and let's try and stay together during these difficult times for the football club as well. So, that's pretty much it. And thanks for having me as well, Laurenz.
Appreciate you, VJ. Appreciate it. Yeah, I can only echo what you said, really. Don't be Muppets like Gary Cahill, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, and Michael Richards, who choose to speak about things after hitting their head against balls for 25 plus years, and clearly not having the intellect to do anything serious. Because how dare you, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, again, whether they're right or wrong, it's not their place. That's the point. Like, and also to go, like, you know what? I'm not going to ruin my own perspectives in life. So, but someone allowed them to speak about this, and that's not just them. Regardless, Clutch. Any last words? No matter the topic.
We'll just keep it simple. Obviously, thanks for having me on again. This game is perfect to kind of bounce back from that disappointment over the weekend. This is where we have a chance to kind of get back into it, get that flow back, because we were starting to get it before the Liverpool game. So let's just continue that. Let's kind of forget about it and then move on.
See, that's the thing. This whole Roman thing. One thing that I wanted to discuss today, we haven't and we now won't. But I was gonna try to also look at positive. Sure, VAR pissed me off, blah blah blah. But I wanted to look at positives from the cup final. The fact that Kai Havertz, his resurgence in form, how much better we look with him, how good he has looked in the last couple of games. Reece James being back, or by not being fit to play tomorrow probably, or at least start tomorrow. But these are all positives, and like Clutch just mentioned, Thomas Tuchel also mentioned in post game against Liverpool, we seem to be back almost, obviously since December essentially. Been struggling to create, to do things, and that's finally been different in the last two games, and that's good to see. Hopefully it can stay that way. Well, Tuchel also said he noticed it in training, and things are just a bit better. But who knows what the news that Abramovich could sell, that the trustee thing isn't going to work out or might not work out the way we initially hoped. Again, Chelsea, you're bigger and better than this. Why do we release a statement on Saturday if we're not sure whether we can even legally do this? Like, come on. Like, there was no need for a statement the day before a cup final that was so vague if you're then even not sure it can happen. Like, that to me is very confusing. But hey, here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to round it out here. I appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in today because, like I said, it's Luton tomorrow. We're all a bit down from the cup final. It's not great. The situation in the world is great. The situation at Chelsea is great. So I appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers, even though chances are a lot of you that are here today are already subscribed. But if you're not, please do subscribe. Smash the like button for me to see how high we can take it. Just one click of a button doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. Click down your way out. But yeah, big shout out to VJ, big shout out to Clutch, big shout out to Jem. Jem's channel is linked down in the description, as is VJ's, as you can also see on screen, called SportsWire. And of course, Clutch's Twitter is linked down in the description as well. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And we'll see you next time.